Maggie stared at the envelope from her credit card company for 4 full days before hiding it under a stack of takeout menus. Not because she didn't know what it said, because she knew exactly what it said. She was a middle manager at a logistics company. She had a degree. She'd read 3 personal finance books in college, and yet, at 42, she was conducting her financial life like a game of Jenga played by someone who'd had 4 glasses of wine. The thing about financial denial is that it doesn't announce itself. It creeps in wearing the mask of, "I'll deal with it later," and "It's fine, everyone has debt." Maggie had become a world-class expert at not looking directly at things that might upset her. Bank statements? Skim the top number, close the app. Credit card bill? Minimum payment, auto pay, don't think about it. The check engine light in her car? Well, the car still ran, didn't it? Her friend Lauren had tried to bring it up over drinks 2 months ago. "Mags, I'm not judging, but you mentioned your credit card payment is $340 a month now, and you're still using the card for everything? That's not sustainable math." Maggie had laughed it off. "I'm managing. I'm a manager. It's literally in my job title." Lauren had given her that look, the one that said, "I'm gonna let you learn this the hard way," and changed the subject. The irony wasn't lost on Maggie. At work, she was known as the person who caught problems early. She'd shut down 3 potential disasters in the past year by reading between the lines of weekly reports. She could spot a cascading delay in a supply chain from 20 miles away. But her own finances? That was a spreadsheet she refused to open. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. Maggie was in the middle of a meeting about Q3 projections when her phone buzzed. A text from her bank. "Your checking account is overdrawn by $67. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't been overdrawn in years. She'd transferred money between accounts, hadn't she? Or had she just thought about transferring money while watching Netflix at 11 p.m. and then fallen asleep? She excused herself, stepped into the hallway, and opened her banking app with the enthusiasm of someone defusing a bomb. The screen loaded. Her checking account? minus $67.42. Her savings account? $143.18. She stood there, in the fluorescent-lit hallway of her office building, staring at numbers that suggested she had the financial stability of a college sophomore, and thought, "How did I get here?" The answer, of course, was slowly, then all at once. That night, Maggie did something she'd been avoiding for 8 months. She sat down at her kitchen table with her laptop, a glass of wine that she immediately regretted pouring because it felt too on the nose, and opened every financial account she had. Checking, $143.18, after depositing $210 to cover the overdraft. Savings, $0, just transferred it all. Credit card 1, $8,347. Credit card 2, $4,921. Car loan, $7,200 remaining. Student loans, let's not even go there. The total made her feel like she'd been punched. Not because she didn't know, theoretically, that it was bad, but because seeing it all in one place transformed abstract dread into concrete horror. She closed the laptop, opened it again, closed it, poured the wine down the sink because this wasn't a wine problem, this was a math problem, and math doesn't care about your feelings. Here's what nobody tells you about financial stress. It doesn't just live in your bank account. It lives in your shoulders, your jaw, your sleep schedule. Maggie had been waking up at 3 a.m. for months, her brain helpfully cataloging every purchase she'd made in the past week and calculating whether she could still afford groceries. She'd stopped going out with friends because the mental math of splitting a check had become exhausting. She'd started lying about why she couldn't make it to birthday dinners. "I've got work stuff. I'm not feeling great. My car's making a weird noise." This one was technically true, but she'd been saying it for 4 months. The worst part? She was good at her job. She managed a team of 6 people. She created systems. She solved problems. But she'd somehow convinced herself that her own life existed outside the realm of fixable problems. The breaking point came 3 days later. Maggie's credit card was declined at the grocery store. Not even a big shop, just milk, eggs, bread, and the cheapest coffee they had. The cashier, a kid who looked about 19, said, "Do you have another card?" And Maggie, standing there with a line of people behind her, had to say, "Can you hold these for a second?" and walk away. She sat in her car in the parking lot and cried. Not the dignified, single tear down the cheek kind of crying, the ugly kind. The kind where you're mad at yourself for crying because it's not actually helping, but you can't seem to stop. When she finally pulled herself together, she did something desperate. She opened ChatGPT on her phone. She'd been using it for work stuff, drafting emails and summarizing reports, and typed, "I'm 42, I have $13K in credit card debt, almost no savings, and I just had my card declined buying groceries. I don't know what to do, and I'm too embarrassed to talk to anyone about it. Can you help me?" She didn't expect much. Maybe some generic advice about budgeting, maybe a lecture. What she got was a simple question. Can you list all your debts, interest rates, and minimum payments? So she did. Right there, in the grocery store parking lot, with mascara probably smudged down her face, she typed it all out. The response came back in seconds. "Okay, here's what we're going to do. Not what you should do, what you're actually going to do tonight. 1, you're going to transfer $100 from your checking to a new savings account you can't easily access. Not for emergencies, for proof that you can. 2, you're going to call the credit card company with the highest interest rate and ask them to lower it. Literally just ask. Worst they say is no. 3, you're going to write down, on paper, every subscription or auto pay you have, all of them, then cancel 3. Not someday, tonight. We'll do the complicated stuff later, but if you can do these 3 things in the next 2 hours, you'll have more control than you did this morning." Maggie stared at her phone. It wasn't a miracle solution. It wasn't even a complete solution, but it was 3 things. 3 things she could actually do. Tonight. So she did them. She called her credit card company. The representative lowered her interest rate from 25.99% to 18.9% in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes! She'd been paying hundreds in extra interest for months because she'd been too scared to make a phone call. She found 9 subscriptions she'd forgotten about. 9! Streaming services she never used, a meditation app she'd opened twice, a meal kit service she'd paused but never canceled. She cut 5 of them. That was $67 a month. Groceries, gas, breathing room. She transferred the $100. It felt stupid and small, but when she saw it sitting in that new savings account, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Like maybe she wasn't completely drowning. Here's the thing about getting your financial life together. It's not a montage. There's no inspirational music. Maggie didn't wake up the next day debt-free and enlightened. She still had $13,000 in credit card debt. Her car still made that noise. She still felt a spike of anxiety every time she checked her bank account. But she'd stopped hiding from it. Over the next 6 weeks, she kept showing up. She used the AI like a weirdly patient accountability partner, asking questions, troubleshooting setbacks, planning moves. She refinanced her car loan and saved $80 a month. She started using cash for groceries so she could actually see what she was spending. She picked up 2 freelance projects she'd been too tired to consider before because she finally had enough mental space to think straight. 3 months later, she'd paid off one of the credit cards. The smaller one, but still, it was closed, done, gone. She told Lauren over coffee. Lauren looked at her and said, "I'm proud of you, but also, how?" She laughed. "I asked a robot for help because I was too embarrassed to ask a human. And honestly, yeah, whatever works." The lesson isn't that AI is magic. The lesson is that sometimes you need someone or something that won't judge you for not having it together, that will just say, "Here are 3 things you can do right now." Financial stress doesn't care about your degree or your job title. It doesn't care how smart you are. It thrives in silence and shame, and the belief that you should already know better. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a next step. One thing you'll actually do. Tonight. Not someday. Tonight. Because the spreadsheet you're refusing to open, it's not going to get better by ignoring it. But it might get better if you just look.